Hello everybody. In this video I want to show you a setup that we did for the 2024 pre-national training. This was for the National Amateur up in Maine. This is a quad. It's set up as a quad, but we didn't run it as a quad. Remember, this was training. I thought this was an excellent training setup. The one thing that you really can't see in this video is the terrain change. If you'll look on the left, that is a huge hill that slopes left to right. And then it's a flat area out where the hay bales are. Anyway, let me show you what I've got. I didn't get a complete run of any particular dog out here. I was kind of hurrying to get the drone up in the air before we finished with this setup, so I wasn't able to get everything, but I got enough that you can see what a nice training setup this is. First, all guns came out. So you had the flyer station and then 3 guns out. And here you'll see the long gun is to the left on that peninsula, and that bird is thrown right to left. And it's long. Just going by memory, I think it was probably 325, maybe even a little bit longer than that. And next, you see this gunner right here steps out and throws actually what's a slightly angled in mark out in this flat open area. And as I recall, some people ran this as a single on that long watermark and then came back and ran maybe a combination of a double or a triple or a double and another single with this setup. The next mark is also a gunner that is standing by a hay bale. He steps out and throws left to right, and this one is actually pinched with the flyer. And the last is the flyer station. It's out there quite a ways itself. I don't really remember the distance. It was probably 275 to 300. It shot angle back somewhat right to left. Before we get started, I wanted to give you a little bit better look directly behind the line out to that long gun. Gives you a little bit better perspective of the line the dog should run. Let me start by showing you this little check down bird. This is the second mark that I showed you in the setup. And folks, I'll tell you, this turned out to be the most challenging bird in this little training setup right here. I wish I knew which dog this was running, because it did an absolutely perfect job on this mark. And from what I remember, very few did it correctly. This dog is about to run the long water single out here and just does an outstanding job on it. But it really shouldn't come as a surprise. All of these dogs that qualified and in our training group, all of them that qualified for the Nationals period, they're some of the best dogs in the country, and I can assure you what we had in our group was no exception to that. Most of these dogs were FC, AFC dogs. I want you to watch what this dog does right here. I'm going to let this run in real time just to give you a sense of the distance and how long this mark is. That is simply outstanding. You couldn't draw it up on paper any better than that. Here's another dog running that nasty little check down bird. This one is a little bit more typical of what the group did. And watch this dog. It will show you the effect of that bird being slightly angled in. If you notice, it went under the arc close to where the gun was and drove deep. Obviously, that little check down bird is retired. The gunner is retired. The next gun out is stayed out visible. So the dog drives back, and clearly he knows that standout gun is there, hunts on the side of the gun that the bird was thrown, but hunts deep and just is not able to recover. And the handler does exactly what I would have done, let the dog hunt, as long as he didn't commit, a sin, and it's about to commit one right about now. He gets back deep behind that gunner, so the handler blows a whistle and starts to handle him back. But even at that, watch how difficult this is to get this dog back up here all the way to where this check down was thrown and pick it up. See, he's close. That shows you right there the effect of that just slightly angled in bird. They're tough. It just makes it tough. That's another whistle. It handles back. And of course, by now, the dog is really just on a hunt. It's not really marking. It's just on a hunt. And again, I'm not saying anything critical about the dog. These are outstanding dogs. It's just kind of the effect of what this bird did on most of the dogs that ran it. And I will tell you, Fanny did similar to this, not quite the same thing, but she ran almost right over the top of this thing. And I swear she looked at it going by and said, it just can't be that short, and kept driving deep. And I had to blow a whistle and handle her back. But you see what happened with that. Okay, this is another dog in our training group running that long watermark on the left. If you'll notice, all 4 guns are out. I don't think in this picture you can really see the flyer station, but it is out. It's standing. So when the dog is on the line, it's actually looking at 4 guns in the field. Now this one, again, is run as a single. I want you to watch what this dog does. It's being handled early, and I think what happened is the dog had its attention on that little short check down gunner, because after that single was shot and thrown, that gunner moved and sat back down behind that hay bale. So I think the dog was reacting to the movement. They recalled him, brought him back, re-threw the mark, and sent him again. And watch what he does. He does it just absolutely perfectly this time. Okay, here we go with another dog in the training group that's about to run that little short check down, and this dog is running this as a single. So it's shot and thrown. The gunner immediately goes back to the hay bale and retires. Once he gets settled in, the dog is sent for the mark. And once again, watch what this dog does and the effect of that little bit of an angle in on this bird. And that is a hen pheasant, by the way. I'm not sure if I said that before, but that also adds to the difficulty. And one thing too that you really can't see right here is probably a little bit more cover out here than what it appears in this picture. It wasn't real deep in this area by any means, but there was enough cover for the bird to kind of settle down in the grass where it's just not laying out there in the ball open as the dog goes by it. But you can see that this dog did the same thing, went right by that bird, got deep, and just has a heck of a time recovering, coming back in. For the sake of saving a little time, I'll speed the video up here, but I just want you to get an idea of how difficult this bird is, and watch how much ground this dog covers before it actually picks this bird up. And I think I actually shut the video off a little bit just right before the dog actually found the bird. After everyone finished running the marks, we ran a really nice blind from the same position. And let me set this up for you. The line was essentially where we ran the marks from, but we kicked these dogs off where they had to angle a really, really sharp angle into this ditch, hold the ditch line, and then come out, enter the water. And at this point, the handler had option of either crossing 2 points or maybe crossing 1 point. Typically, if the dog had a tendency to get on the point, the handler would handle the dog around the point. If the dog wanted to swim around the point, we'd handle him onto the point and then kick him off. Here's a dog running the water blind. You can see right here it falls off the hill down into the ditch too quickly, so the handler blows a fairly quick whistle and gives a left back. The dog kind of parallels the creek and gets stopped again. And I think from here on out it actually does a pretty good job of holding this. Probably is going to get handled about right here. Okay, this is where it becomes kind of handler's choice at this point. You're really watching the dog, and from here it's apparent that the dog was going to swim around the point, so it gets stopped, and then one cast back to the point. Very good compliance out of this dog. A lot of times when a dog is out of balance, even when they're told to get on the point, particularly that far away from a point, they'll still want to swim around that thing, and it may take 2 or 3 whistles to get them on the point. Now, that's really a good position for a training blind. If I was running a blind in a trial, I'd rather be a little bit farther out on that tip, but for training, this is just fine. And you can see right here, the dog gets hung up on the point temporarily, but is given another whistle or 2, and then one cast, one more cast come off the point. And when it does it just picture perfect. That's exactly how you want that dog to come off there, where it's taking a little bit more water than it really needs to. But that's what I want to see on a big water blind like this. And once again, the dog was about to swim around the second point, so it stopped and handled on to that next point. The dog gets on the point and is given a cast to come off of it. Now this is where I would have liked to have seen that dog come off and carry that out into the open water a little bit more. But all in all, it still does a really nice job. Okay folks, that's all I have on this particular training setup. I do have a few more that will be coming out a little bit later.